Yo, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a tier list, and it's going to be based off of the transfer window for 25-26 for the Premier League. So I haven't had a chance to look at every single transfer in, transfer out. It's going to be my first time like genuinely looking at every single one. So this will all be new for me. Um, and I just want to add a little bit of context to like the way we're going to do it. So I have it set up with top tier being excellent, second tier being great, third tier being good, fourth tier being average, a poor window, and then horrible. Um, and all of these will be contextually based. So, like, obviously, teams like, for instance, let's just say Sunderland. If City had a window like Sunderland, like with the same players bought, it obviously wouldn't be the same. But we're gonna go based off of how the team is and just rate the transfer window for them purely based off of their team. Um, so let's start off with Arsenal. And for Arsenal, they actually had a pretty hefty window. So the players in here that I'm going to look at and just say, right off of face value, that already make this a really good window for them. Eberiche Eze, I think, is an insane signing. They needed a creative midfielder like that. I think he's excellent for their team. Getting this Hencapi loan deal with, I think it's an obligation to buy or an option to buy for like 45 mil. Really, really good loan deal. I think he's a really good center back. Obviously, he's not Premier League proven, so he has some stuff to show, but definitely think this is a great signing for Arsenal, and he can definitely be depth if players like Saliba choose to go to Real Madrid. Stuff like that. They just, they're building for the future, and that's smart. Victor Gyökeres, obviously one of the most sought after strikers for the summer window, and he's come to Arsenal. He's kind of underperformed so far. He's 3 games in. I'm not going to judge him anything based off of it yet, but everyone thought he was just going to come in and instantly light up the league because he scored 100 goals and uh, super quick in Liga NOS. But I still think he's going to ball out in the league. You just got to give him time. Christian Mosquera, another center back. He looked really good when he did come in for Saliba in the Liverpool game. So I have a lot of faith that he's going to be really good in the future. And all of these signings are extremely young players. So it's like they're really good. The only ones that aren't young are Gyökeres and Eze, and they're pretty proven. Norgard is also not a younger player, but Premier League proven, so that's a good one. Noni Madueke. Now, at first, I thought Madueke was a bad signing because they got Madueke instead of Eze. Getting both of these players, I think, is massive. I think Madueke is going to do bits for Arsenal this season, especially with Saka not being able to play every single game. Um, and even getting a chance to rest Saka. Saka never has rest for Arsenal because he needs to play. He's their X factor, so it makes sense to get another right winger that can come in and fill that role. Christian Norgard, Brentford's captain at the time last season, so I think that's a good signing. Zubamendi, he seems like he's pretty good so far. And then Kepa for 5 mil, really, really good signing. So I think for Arsenal, is there anything Arsenal could have done more? What players out did they have? Jakob Kivior, good signing to get out. I don't think he was amazing at Arsenal. He's on loan, so if he does well at Porto, he might come back. You never know. Reece Nelson, he's been on loan, which seems like for the last 3 or 4 years. Zinchenko out. I think that's a good one on loan as well. So they sent a lot of players on loan. Not a bunch of players that are big here, but just a lot of small team fodder that they needed to get out, maybe so they could bring other players in. So nothing crazy on the outs, but the players in I think are massive. I'm gonna put Arsenal at the. I think Arsenal had an excellent window. I don't know what else they could have brought in, to be honest. Yeah, no, I'm gonna put Arsenal in excellent. Okay, next, let's go to Aston Villa. Now, players in. I did know for a fact they got Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho on loan. It's decent. Aston Villa, for some reason, love to get Manchester United wingers on loan. He was decent at Chelsea last year. Not like a needle mover or anything. Pretty good player. I think he can do things here and there. I just don't think the Premier League is the place for him anymore. It's really sad to see, but it doesn't seem like football is his like 100%. He's putting all his effort in. Really unfortunate because I do have a Jadon Sancho Manchester United jersey. I fell into the bait when he first moved there, and I thought he was going to be extremely good. I liked watching Sancho at Dortmund. He was one of my favorite players to use on FIFA, so I thought he was just a sick player. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to get his jersey and buy onto these Jadon Sancho stocks kind of early with the United run, and it just didn't pan out. So it sucks to see where he's gone, but you know, you can't ever judge that or predict that. Harvey Elliott, I think, is a really good buy here. I think he's going to be good for them. I just don't see Villa being excellent or great. I just don't think they brought in enough here. Marco Bizot, guess, and Victor Lindelof. It's not a needle mover for me at all. Players out. Jacob Ramsey, I think the loss was pretty big. I thought he was really starting to step up with Aston Villa, and he was really starting to find a role in the team. And to lose him to Newcastle is pretty big. Leon Bailey, he's been there for a little too long, I think. He was also pretty good, though. He's on loan at Roma now. Alex Moreno, I think he should have gone a while ago. Lewis Dobbin, don't know much about. We're not even going to try to pronounce that. And Zepequinho Redmond. Yeah, see, they just didn't do enough, I feel like, for me, bringing players in. They were hamstrung by the fact of the VAR decision last year on the last day of the season, excuse me, when they played Manchester United. So PSR kind of strung them out a little bit, and they couldn't do much. And I think for that, I'm going to have to put, I think it's poor. I think it's a poor window from Villa. They didn't do enough. And I feel like for that reason, it just has to be poor. Next, let's go with Bournemouth. Bournemouth. Now, players out, I feel like is a big one here. Yeah, these just, I feel like they lost too much. Losing Zabarni, Otara, Philip Billing, obviously they lost. Dean Hoyson and Kirkez last year. So we knew that they were going to lose them. But did they bring in enough? That's the real question. They lost Sinistera also on loan. So they brought in Ben Doak from Liverpool. Diakite, who I think is actually going to be a really good signing for them. Petrovic, who I thought was a good goalkeeper when we had him at Chelsea in the Pochettino season. Truffert, he looks like he's pretty decent so far. They got Adley from the Bundesliga, excuse me. Alex Jimenez, I think, could be a really good signing for them. I think, and they held on to Semenyo, so I got to factor that in as well. I think Bournemouth had an average window. I don't think it was bad, but I'm going to go with average for now. I might move that. We'll see where that goes, though. But for that, I think they're going to stay there for now. Now, Brentford up next. Brought in Reece Nelson on loan. Dango Otara, I think, is a really good signing for them. Jordan Henderson on a free. It's not bad. It's not great. And Kelleher, I thought, was a really good signing. He was Liverpool's number 2 keeper. Even calling him a number 2 feels kind of disrespectful because I thought at times when he did fill in and was the number 1 for Liverpool, he was really, really pivotal, and he was really good. Excuse me. So I think, honestly, it's the players out, man. The players out do it for me, actually. Never mind. You lose Johan Wissa. Obviously, he was throwing a fit, didn't want to be there anymore. You lose Mbeumo, you lose Norgard. Ben Mee on a free, you lose. The fact that they didn't sign Ben Mee again is super, super confusing to me. But I feel like the players out with the players they brought in just isn't enough. I do think they're going to be one of the teams that does go down just due to this window. I don't think it was very good. Brentford's got to be, it's harsh, but I got to put them in horrible. Brighton up next. Brighton brought in Boscagli, De Cooper, Diego Coppola. Man, they bring in such weird players, but I can't say anything because then Chelsea ends up signing these type of players for $100 million in 2 or 3 years. So I can't really judge them based off of the players they bring in because their scouting is so good. So obviously they know what they're doing. They lost Matthew O'Reilly, Igor, and CISO. They lost to Strasburg on. Is that a? Oh, that's a full buy. Okay, okay, okay. Tariq Lamptey and Buenanote on loan to Chelsea. Because of how Brighton performs in the league, and obviously their scouting is really good. I just don't think it's fantastic. Obviously, hindsight for them is massive because their signings always pan out to be players that the league wants. I'm gonna say it's an. Oh, is it average or is it poor? I got to do poor because they lost João Pedro too, and they didn't bring in anything super significant to fill that void for Brighton, and I just don't. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go poor for Brighton. Yeah, that's I'm gonna stick them in there for now. Next, let's do Burnley. Players out for Burnley. Nothing insane. They lost Aaron Ramsey, Benson Obafemi. Yeah, like these just aren't massive deals to lose. Do I think they did enough though? I think Ugochukwu is a pretty good signing for them. They need a midfielder like that. Kyle Walker for 5 million, which is insane. Kyle Walker's fall off needs to be studied. I don't think he's terrible anymore, or like terrible, but it needs to be studied, man. Um, Getting Axel Twanzebe, Armando Broja, Ferentino Luis, and Martin Dubravka. I think that's a pretty average window. I don't think it's good, but it's low average. Chelsea. Now I am a Chelsea fan, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we did enough. I think our outs were excellent. I think we earned back like 300 million, 350 million, and we got a lot of money out of certain players that I feel like we definitely shouldn't have got as much money as we did back. This one is huge. The Nicholas Jackson loan. I think we did need Jackson because we lost Liam Delap due to injury. But the amount that they're willing to pay for Jackson, I mean, they got him on loan, but they're willing to pay the 70 million if he performs well. It's just like it's a no-brainer, and it's an obligation to buy. So, I mean, it sucks to lose him, but he obviously didn't want to be at Chelsea anymore, and to lose him for the amount that we did, that's fine. Christopher Nkunku, I think it was his time to go. 35 million. Alfie Gilchrist, sucks to see him go, but this is just how Chelsea does business now with the American owner. We got Ben Chilwell off the books, which is good. Chukwemeka for 20 mil, Renato Vega for 24 mil, Chuku 28, Broha 23. So we made a lot of money this window. We sold so many players, man. It is unreal. So yeah, I think just because of the players out and the amount of money that we did bring in, I just think we didn't bring in enough, which sucks. We have Buenanote on loan, Garnacho on loan, who I think is going to be really good for us. Jarell Hato, the man at Ajax, I think he's going to be really good. He's super young, so obviously he's not getting a ton of playing time yet, but I think his time will come with this Chelsea team. Jamie Gittins still hasn't showed us he's worth the 64 mil, but I do want to give him time, and I do think he can still perform. I think he might be one of those guys who balls out in the Cups or in UEFA Champions League, so we really just have to see with that. If he can be a Champions League baller for us, I'm not going to be mad. João Pedro, obviously a really good signing so far from what we have seen. Liam Delap was looking decent, but he's injured now, so he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, which sucks. Dario Sugo. Some of these players are just players that you know are like these, like the Mamadou Sarr, Sugo. Like these are players that you can tell are the way that Chelsea are doing business now. We buy these younger players and then flip them in a few years. It's probably not the morally best way to run a club, but it's working so far. But I don't think, as a Chelsea fan, I don't think we had a great window. I'm going to add, I know he technically wasn't bought this window. We bought him a while ago, but I feel like you have to include Esteval because he came in this summer. I think adding Esteval makes the window better because I think he's a really good player. I'm going to put us in, I'm gonna put us in good, but I might move us to average. I don't think we had a great window, but I think the outs outweigh our players in for sure, and we made a lot of money, which is good for PSR restrictions and all that. So that's really good. Next up, Crystal Palace. I almost said Christopher Palace. What the hell? Crystal Palace. It's because I read his name. They brought in Uche from Getafe on loan. I don't think Uche is a great player, but it's not bad. Crystal Palace definitely needed a fullback or a striker. Excuse me. Because they lost. Yes, they did lose Edouard and losing Eze. I think holding on to Margehi is a big part of their window as well. They brought in Sosa, the fullback. Yeah, Jeremy Pino is a good buy, I feel like, as well. And did they lose anybody else big? No, and they have a really good manager. But it wasn't a great window, man. They could have done more, and that's what their manager's screaming out for more. I mean, Glasner's been wanting more, and he threatened to leave if they sold Margehi. So I feel like they got to be in the bottom of poor. Bottom of poor. I'm gonna put him in horrible. Actually, I'm gonna put him in horrible. You know what? I'm gonna be genuine. I'm gonna put him in horrible. Everton. I think Everton. I don't even need to look at these transfers. I already know. They lost a ton of players off their books, which is good. Going into a new stadium, having that home crowd, and the players that they brought in, the Tyler Dibblings, the Jack Grealish, the Kieran Dewsbury Halls, Mark Travers, like they brought in, and Barry. They brought in a pretty good amount of players, and I think these are all ballers, genuinely. I think Dewsbury Hall was out of his depth at Chelsea. I think Chelsea was just too high of a level. But seeing how he's performing at Everton so far, I think is just really good. And I think that fan base will love him and adore him. Jack Grealish, come on. He looks amazing so far. It's nice to see Grealish happy again, genuinely, and just see him balling out. Because we haven't seen that in the last few years at Man City, and it's super unfortunate. And I think there was a stat the other day that said the last time Jack Grealish has started like 3 games or 4 games in a row. And obviously, or no, sorry, played 3 games in a row. That's insane. He hasn't done that in forever. So to see him happy again is nice. Tyler Dibbling, I thought I think this is a steal. I think he's such a good baller. Definitely one for the future, but so far I think this window for Everton has got to be great. It's a great window for sure. They might even go into excellent. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna leave them in great for now, just because we don't have anybody in great. But they might get moved up to excellent because I think their window for fuck it, no, for Everton you're going up. You're going up, excellent. Fulham next. I don't even need to look at these. I already know where this is going. So they lost. The fact that Willian barely went is insane. Wow. So they lost Carlos Vinicius, Willian. Nothing too crazy here. Pereira, I know had been there for a while. Lost him. They brought in Kevin Chukwueze and Kuziasar. Fulham just don't ever bring in transfers. It seems like they just do whatever. I think Chukwueze might be a good deal for them on loan for sure. The Brazilian guys with the American names are just so weird to me. And I feel like they're hit or miss. 40 million for a young Brazilian left winger. I guess we'll just have to see how he performs. So far, I'm going to be honest, Fulham's got to go horrible. They can go to the top of horrible though. No. They can go to the middle of horrible. Yeah, because I still think Brentford had the worst window, so I'll put them in the middle. Next, Leeds. They brought in James Justin from Leicester. Noah Okafor, still super unknown. He's obviously a future star to look at, so he could possibly be good in the future, but I just don't we haven't seen much of him, and I don't watch the Serie A too often. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, brother is allergic to finishing. Stack, I think, is a baller. Sean Longstaff, not a bad player to bring in. They brought in a goalkeeper as well. Not too much going on with the outs. They brought in Nemeka, who looks pretty decent also. You know what? For a team that came up, I think it's a decent window. I'm going to say the bottom. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to say the bottom of average. Wait, no, man, they did bring in. You know what? No. I'll give Leeds a good window for right now. Liverpool. Liverpool. Do I even need to go over this? Like, genuinely, do I even need to go over this? Let's just work our way from the bottom and then we'll go up to the top. So, the first transfer they brought in, Jeremy Frimpong. I think they got him for like 30 million. That's a really good buy. Obviously, they broke the transfer record for Florian Wirtz, 125 million. Milos Kerkez, a fantastic buy again. Hugo Ekitike, another good buy. Giovanni Leone, from what I've seen in the highlights I've seen of him, this dude looks like a super young talent. He's a physical specimen, so I think he's going to be really good once he does get into this team. And then Alexander Isak, man. 144 million. They break the transfer record. And the players that they lost, now they sent a bunch of players on loan, the likes of Smikas and a bunch of younger players just to get off the books. They lost Harvey Elliott, which I don't think is massive contextually with them, but I think he was a really good player and he's young. So you never know where that could go. It could be a Cole Palmer situation with Man City. Ben Doak, recouping 53 million for Darwin, I think is huge. 71 million for Luis Diaz. Now I know Diaz is a baller, but you know he's in the not latter stages of his career, but he's not he's not getting any younger. 71 million is crazy. Jarrell Quansah, 35 mil. That's a really good deal. Kelleher for 21 mil. Like, I just think there's no way that you put them anywhere else other than the top of excellent. I think they had a fantastic window. I think if they got Mark Gahey, it would have been like I would have had to make their own tier and just put them in like God tier. But because of the window they already had, it was fantastic. But Mark Gahey would have pushed them over this excellent barrier for sure. Manchester City. Let's do players out first. They lost Ederson, who had been wanting to go, and I think just him and Pep had a little bit of a falling out. He was always going to go. Akanji, I thought, was a sleeper one that just left. I know he hasn't been the best over the last year. And I don't know if I didn't know Akanji was 29 years old. I didn't know he was about to be 30 years old. Like, I don't know why. For some reason, I feel like I base a lot of things off of playing FIFA, and I've seen him in FIFA for the longest time. So for some reason, I just thought he was a youngster. Bro's pushing 30. So I did not know that. He's on loan at Inter. Losing Ilkay Gundogan, not a big one. I think they were starting to outgrow him, and I think his reunion back at City just wasn't as good as the first time around, obviously. This window is super, for them, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You bring in James Trafford, I get young England keeper, has a lot of potential for you to flip and sell in the future if you want, or keep him. But I think getting him and then getting Gigi Donnarumma just doesn't make sense to me. Because Donnarumma can't play with the ball at feet really well. So you're not gonna be able to play out the back as well. Obviously, as with Ederson. Ederson was one of the Premier League keepers that took that to like new heights playing out the back. So I don't really understand these two too well. Tajani Reinders, I still think is got a lot to prove. I think that first game he was phenomenal, but they played against a beat down Wolves team that just didn't look too great. He's a good. I don't really think he's a defense. I feel like he's more of like an attacking mid, um, but a really good player. I think he just has a lot to prove still at City. Ryan Cherokee, he's hurt now, so he's going to be out for a while. Thought he was looking pretty decent. He's just got to figure out the physicality of the Premier League. Ait Nori, they needed a left back, so this is valid. I don't really think he is a true left back. He's more of like a left wing, left mid. Nico Gonzalez, obviously. I just don't think this is like a fantastic City window. Just comparatively to what we've seen in the past from City, I just don't think it's a great window. I think it's bottom of good. Bottom of good. Now, Manchester United. Obviously, they got a keeper on deadline day. Layman's. I haven't seen too much of this guy. He's from the Belgium league. Realistically, he's unknown, but unknown is better than Onana and why am I forgetting his name? Bayindir. So I can't be mad at that. They needed a goalkeeper. Now, they did their front line, I think, is really good in what they bought. I think buying Cunha, Mbeumo, and Sesko, I think, is really, really good. I don't think Cunha is considered in this window because he was considered last year. So it's just go from Diego Leon and up. No, scratch that. They bought a full front three. So I think the front three that they did buy is really, really good. Diego Leon, I have no clue about. I haven't really seen him play at all. 4 million. I'm assuming he's a younger player. Yeah, he's 18 years old. 4 mil. That's not a bad buy. I'm gonna say it's a pretty good buy. The players out. They needed to get a lot of dead wood out of this club. Getting money for Antony, I think, was really big. Getting money for Garnacho, I think, was big because he wasn't going to be someone that played. Sending Toby Collier on loan. Don't know if it's the smartest move because they're crying out for midfielders right now, but Marcus Rashford on loan. Jadon Sancho, Amos on loan. Højlund also being gone is good. I think because they didn't address getting a midfielder, I think they were crying out for a midfielder in this window. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to move Chelsea down to average. Do I think they had a better window than us? Yeah. United down to the bottom of good. I think if they got a midfielder, it'd be a great window. But not addressing the midfield situation, I just think definitely hinders the team. And I think it stunts their growth a little bit, to be honest with you. Moving on, Newcastle. Now, obviously, they lost the gem in the crown, Alexander Isak, but he wanted to go. He wasn't going to play. I think they got a good amount for him, and they can move on from this whole saga of worrying about if he's going to play. The fans are chanting about it. Just get him out the club. He was basically like a cancer just within the club. So it's a smart deal to get him out. They brought in Nick Voltamata. I think that this guy, from what I've seen, it's just small highlights because I don't watch Stuttgart like that. He looks like a baller. He's what, like 6'6"? Yeah, he's 6'6". He's 23 years old. He can handle the ball at feet. He's got quick feet. I think this kid looks like he could be really good. So, and I think Newcastle, for the type of player he is just super fitting. Johan Wissa, we know what he's about. Him and Mbeumo were massive parts to the success of Brentford. And I think the success for Brentford was just staying up and competing. And I think they did a good job. Obviously, they lost Thomas Frank as well. at Brentford. But these two, like Embuemo and Wissa, were massive for for goals for them. They're like 50, 60 goals for them. So getting Jacob Ramsey, I think, is a really, really good deal for them. Malik Tiar, I don't know if I said that right. I haven't seen too much of him. Aaron Ramsdale on loan, decent. I think Anthony Alanga is really, really good business. I'm going to put Newcastle in great. I don't see why that is a bad. I mean, they lost Isak, but he didn't want to play for them anymore. So I think it's a good window for Newcastle, considering everything. Nottingham Forest. He gets Zinchenko on loan. John Victor was a big buy for them from Botafogo. Douglas Luiz, James McAtee, Amari Hutchinson, and Doy. Man, they had a lot of players. Man, they love these Botafogo players, eh? Honestly, Nottingham Forest. But they lost Alenga. Held on to Morgan Gibbs White. I'm going to put him in average. Yeah, average seems right. Sunderland. Sunderland, if you're a Sunderland fan, man, you have to be happy with what they did. They brought in a ton of good players, bringing in Brian Broby, who obviously isn't Premier League proven, but Netherlands international. He's a young player. He looks good. Gertruda, another Netherlands national, bringing him in. Mukiele, Mark Guy, who comes back obviously from being on loan because we recalled him back. Granit Xhaka, massive signing. This guy's obviously that's a needle mover for me. I feel like he brings the X factor in this team. He's super experienced, won the league over at Leverkusen, getting a second dance in the Premier League, I think was super smart for him. And I think he said he wanted to experience a tough season because he wants to be a manager in the future. And you can just see it. They gave him the captain's armband from the jump. I think this guy's going to be big for them this season if they stay up. Ronaldo, Adingra's a big transfer. You know what? Who did they lose? I don't know any of these players because I don't watch the championship. I know they lost Job. You know what? They have to be excellent. I'm going to put them above Everton. Just for their standards, I think that's an excellent window. An excellent window. Tottenham Hotspur, man. They stole Xavi Simons from us. So I think their transfer window is really, really good. Players out, they lost Brian Hill. They got 22 million for Son. So they didn't lose too many players. Mikey Moore's on loan. But they bring in Kolo Muani, who I think is going to be a good player for them. Xavi Simons, obviously he's not proven yet. But potential-wise, his ceiling is insane. So I think he's definitely going to perform. I wanted him so bad at Chelsea, man. I just thought he would have been excellent. I know you guys can say, oh, Chelsea bringing a bunch, but it doesn't matter, man. He would have been insane, especially quality player for having depth. He can play off the left. I think he's going to be great for them. Paulinho is already showing why he should have never left the Premier League. I thought when he was at Fulham, he was insane. And he's proving he can still ball. I mean, I know he was not really favored at Bayern Munich with Vincent Kompany, but this guy looks great so far at Tottenham. I thought Manchester United should have went after him, honestly. Kudus, massive player to bring in. You signed Kevin Danso, who they had on loan last season. Same with Mateus Tell. Not too sure about Tell. Only the future can really. I don't want to. The future can tell whether he's going to be good or not. I'm so sorry, but genuinely, I think they had an insane window. I think it's a really good window, especially for Tottenham standards. And they got a fantastic manager. Man, I think their window is above I'm gonna have to move Everton down to the top of that, top of great. Oh, is Tottenham great? I think Tottenham might be the top of great as well. Because what else were Tottenham missing? I think they could do with some depth in certain spots just because they do have Champions League this year. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them in great. I'm gonna keep them in great. Oh, that seems harsh. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them in the top of great. They're like borderline excellent. I think it's super close to having an excellent window, but borderline. West Ham, man. If you're a West Ham United fan, you're pissed off. I'm gonna be honest. There's not much positivity to even look at in the ins that they brought in. I think Kyle Walker Peters decent. Malik Diouf, I think this guy is going to be insane in the future. I don't think he'll stay at West Ham forever. To be honest, I think he's going to go. He'll definitely outgrow this club pretty quick. No disrespect, but Mateus Fernandez, I think that's a good. That's actually a really good bit of business. Igor on loan, just they finally lost Kurt Zuma. Didn't even know he was still in the Premier League. Aguerd was destined to go. Maxwell Cornet. They lost a lot. Yeah, they lost a ton of experience with this team. So I don't see them being anywhere else than horrible. I think it was a horrible window for I gotta move Crystal Palace up to poor for sure. And last but not least, actually they are at least, Wolves. Getting 22 million for Fabio Silva, I think is pretty good. Guedes has been on the move nonstop for the last like 4 years, it seems like. And I'm pretty sure they lost Nelson Semedo as well. Yeah, they lost their club captain. He did not want to sign another contract, which is kind of wow, man. This is a horrible window actually, just seeing all this. But yeah, it's kind of telling. Nelson Semedo didn't want to sign another contract. They lose Ainori, they lose Cunha, they lose Mario Lemina. I don't know how this guy only went for two mil. Now, don't get me wrong, he's not like the greatest midfielder, but he would have been like a fantastic midfielder to play for United, Newcastle, any of these teams that really kind of needed depth in their midfield for sure. I think he would have been really good. And every single time that we played, or I ever saw like a Wolves game, this guy was giving trouble in the midfield. Super aggressive, kind of hot headed, but yeah, I just think they lost a lot of players and didn't really bring any. There's no experience or no oomph in this lineup that they brought in. They might have had the worst window actually, considering everyone they lost. So I think I'm happy with that. I think you know what? I'm gonna move Tottenham in excellent. I think Tottenham had an excellent window. Keep Everton at great. Newcastle at great. Yeah, I'm happy with this. So here's my finished list. In horrible, we have Wolves, Fulham, Brentford, West Ham. In poor, we got Aston Villa, Brighton, Crystal Palace. Average, we have Chelsea, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Nottingham Forest. Good, we have Leeds, City, and United. Great, Everton, Newcastle. And then the top of excellent, you just had stunning windows. Liverpool, Arsenal, Sunderland, and Tottenham. Now let me know who you guys think had the best window and who you guys think had the worst window. If you think somebody had a like a sneaky, insane window, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Um, yeah, give me your thoughts and your opinions on my list. Let me know what your list is. And yeah, I think that's going to be it, guys. If you guys did like the video, go ahead and drop a like. If you guys like any of my other videos and you want to see more from me in the future, go ahead and drop a sub. Really appreciate you guys watching, and peace.